Good morning again. Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and bringing a subject to you that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. This is a short reaction to a video I just saw on YouTube by the lovely and intelligent Miss Hassenfeder. If you're familiar with her videos, she covers a lot of scientific subject matter, and I want to respond to the video I just saw. It was an interview of her by a man, and they're talking about quantum physics a little bit. And she has some theories and evidence, I guess, from research, actual, scientific research regarding multiverse theory and probability. Probability is in the title of the video. I will link it in the description of this video. I want to chime in, for what it's worth, with my own experience in doing computer simulations. I have quite a few years of experience making programs and animations, graphics, games, and whatnot. So I have an idea, and it might be valuable. So probability is probability. It's not a mystery. It's not confusing to me. I don't think that there's a huge question necessarily in her video about it, but she does make a couple of comments about the multiverse and connects it to probability. And I want to clarify something she said, first of all. She says that there is a multiverse. She subscribes to the idea, and it's a common belief. It has become common in scientific circles that there's something called the multiverse, which means that every possible eventuality, given a turning point, will not just go one of two ways, it will go both ways. And it's kind of a hard idea for people to wrap their heads around many times, because the idea of a multiverse is very complex. It's a huge thing, it would be a huge thing. And she describes it as being infinite. I want to tackle this first of all. She describes the multiverse as defined by quantum mechanics as being infinite. Well, there's something I've learned. There's something I've learned that even if something is infinite, it can still be limited. There's something called being infinite and limited within a scope at the same time. It might have infinite length, but not infinite breadth, that kind of thing. Turns out the multiverse, if there is one, and I believe there probably is, I believe it's a correct theory, has possibly infinite eventualities, but not every eventuality. This is the part that's difficult for people. Infinite does not mean every. Every would be illogical. It would make no sense, because there's, the things that just couldn't exist. So already we know that infinite must only include those things which are specifically possible, not just ridiculous and imaginary. And then the question becomes, what exactly is possible in terms of permutations? Permutations is a good word, connected to probability. Permutations is the set of variations of a given environment or a set of parameters. The permutations are how many things you get out of that to do measurements of probability. That's the word. Anyway, so the multiverse being non-complete in terms of not including imaginary, impossible universes has some interesting implications, such as there is an idea also known as the light cone, and this is semi-connected. It's analogous. The light cone is it's kind of a rough idea of how things may be influential or possible within the scope of time as defined by the speed of light. So it's a way of thinking about space and time as those things can only affect you which are within a distance that light can travel in a certain amount of time. And this analogy suggests that anything outside of that cone, because it becomes a cone that grows in size moving forward in time or backward in time, anything outside that area is not possibly influential. It's how the theory goes. But turns out there are ways to interact with things instantaneously. Spooky action at a distance was notably observed and predicted by Albert Einstein in his studies into the theories of relativity. Spooky action at a distance is another feature of quantum mechanics, where you have what's called entanglement, and it is not subject to the delays of space-time as far as traveling from one location to another and being limited by the speed of light. Entanglement, in theory, would be instantaneous without respect to distance, which kind of destroys the light cone theory. And anyway, the light cone theory is connected to this video in the sense that only a certain set of possibilities will ever actually manifest in the multiverse. And this is my point. There are things in a channel. You can think of it as a channel where possibilities will actually unfold, and everything outside of that channel does not exist, cannot exist, for reasons that would make those universes not possible to exist. She tackles some very difficult ideas in her video, and I appreciate her making the video or doing the interview. And one of the other ideas is that the question, she tackles the question of why is our universe, or our solar system even more locally, the way it is, and why in all improbability do we find ourselves in this place. And the prevailing answer to this question, not just her answer, but she does mention it, is that it's the only possibility. It's these parameters make it possible for us to be here and observe them. And if we weren't here, we wouldn't be observing them. That's the answer. It's kind of a circular answer, but it's the correct answer. The set of constants and the set of environmental variables that make it possible to observe this universe are what they are, because without them, there would be no observers, if that makes sense. So, last thing I'll say is the channel in which the multiverse may contain eventualities or possible universes, the probability that a particular universe may or may not exist, is connected to the same idea as far as behavior. I like to tie this into something human. So it's not just a theoretical subject. It's connected to practical implementations, which is what can we learn from science, hopefully? What can we learn from astronomy and astrophysics and quantum physics in terms of, something that will improve quality of life? Hopefully that's the goal, not to make things worse, but to eventually put this knowledge into practice and make things a little bit better for people. And one way you can do that is by understanding this idea of reality existing in channels. It's not every possible reality. It's the realities that are specifically not just possible, but connected to something real, I guess. My words kind of fail me on this idea, but I can see the answer. And the connection with something practical for humans is that behavior may be advantageous and healthy when it is in channels as well. The idea is transferable. The idea that certain things may exist or be good within channels is transferable to human behavior, where you have a set of choices that are objectively proper within channels, and outside those channels they are either they represent short-term profit or are outright destructive in some way to yourself and others. And I think it's an interesting idea, the idea that propriety or reality may exist only within a framework, a web work, if you will. Not just everything, but specific things. Anyway, it's a complex idea. Reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.